Prioritizing accounts is the first step towards success in sales. It's how we choose which accounts we're going to focus on. All accounts are not created equally, and it helps us maximize our resources. I break accounts into three categories: the whales, the sharks, and the minnows. Whales are those major accounts, the ones that we really like, because they have significant revenue or they buy high volumes. We seek these, and they have the highest threshold that you will want to set. In other words, you're not going to have a lot of whales, so you set the threshold for qualifying as a whale fairly high. You can also include visibility accounts in this, because these are accounts that when they buy from you, other accounts will buy from you as well. It's kind of the good housekeeping seal. And then there are the sharks. I used to call these the trout. I had whales, trout, and minnows, but now I call them sharks because most buyers are better at buying than salespeople are at selling. And in fact, many buyers are actually better at selling than salespeople are. Does that make these people evil or mean or whatever? No, they're just being sharks. They're just doing what is right for them. These are our bread and butter accounts, and we look at the threshold for qualifying as a shark as being the second highest. So the minnows are the easiest, the sharks are the next ones, and then the whales are the next category. When we look at minnows, these are the smallest accounts that we will maintain as an individual or that our company or corporation or organization wants to engage. They can often be the highest maintenance because they lack the depth of resource inside their own organization. When we look at addressing these, we have to remember that the whales require a formal account management program. We have to stay on top of this. It requires that we have account strategies. We don't wing it with the whales. The salespeople that are most effective with the whales are typically referred to as account executives rather than as salespeople or even as sales professionals. This is relationship selling at the highest level. So it requires that we know relationship selling, collaborative selling, and business function selling. And we'll deal with that a little more. We use relationship selling, collaborative selling, and business function selling. The sharks require tactical management, not strategic, but tactical, so sales professionals can manage these accounts. Salespeople typically struggle with it. You want to follow your sales process methodology, your SPM, whatever it is. If you're using spin selling or plush selling or Dale Carnegie, whatever you're doing, keep using that. It brings consistency and it brings success. You will have to increase the sophistication of your sales approach, your sales presentations on a regular basis. Then the minnows could be managed by other people in your organization. Consider giving the minnows to your customer service team. They can handle those accounts better and faster sometimes than salespeople can, and when a sales professional is spending too much time with smaller accounts, then it's not the best use of that resource. However, with the minnows, you want to be able to identify whatever potential for growth there might be. How soon might this minnow become a shark? Do they have the potential to become a whale? This is an opportunity for you to develop more e-support. That is, resources that the minnow can address or can... This is an opportunity for you to develop more e-support. That is, resources that the minnow can access online, maybe with an FAQ page or with some other tools on your website, or they could even purchase using an online resource. I like to use a bell curve when looking at an analysis because it makes things visually clear. Here we have a bell curve, and the center is our primary focus because that's the majority of our use. That's the majority of our results. And you'll see here that we show the shark as being the primary focus. And then we have two outliers, the minnows and the whales. We don't want to have a lot of minnows because the same amount of time and resource it takes to close a minnow, we might could close a shark. And we can't manage too many whales. If we have too many whales, it's going to Having too many whales means we're not giving them the kind of attention that they need. Typically, we start with a 10-80-10 profile. That is, 80% of our business is going to be with the primary focus, and then 10% will be the outliers, 10% on the small end, 10% on the top end. This is another version of the 80-20 rule. And then we establish thresholds. What is the threshold for being a shark? Anything below that would be a minnow. What is the threshold for being a whale? Anything above that would qualify as a whale or a major account. If we used revenue thresholds, then we could set the thresholds based on a dollar figure. So if we, again, use the 10-80-10, and we start looking at making better use of our resources by expanding the number of sharks, then we would have 5% more and then 5% less somewhere else, typically with the minnows. Well, when we examine this, we use some arbitrary numbers here. Let's say that a minnow account would be 1,000 to almost 5,000. And then our shark accounts would be 5,000 to 50,000. Anything above that would be a whale. When we look at moving the goalposts, when we look at moving the threshold down, we're not going to have as much time to spend with minnows. We will have, however, more time to spend with the sharks. And so maybe an account would have to be $3,000 or more in order to qualify as a minnow. Otherwise, we abandon the smaller account market. Does that make sense for your organization right now? When we look at this smaller threshold, this tighter threshold, we want to do that judiciously, not arbitrarily. Then we can look at unintended issues. With the minnows, sometimes they are too easy to close. And what that means is it's so easy to close these. Sometimes it's a bluebird. They contact us and we just simply write up the order and process it. Well, we may be spending too much time doing that. Could someone else in the organization take care of that for us? They do have a shorter sales cycle, so if we're short of quota by the end of the month, maybe we go chase a few minnows. They are, however, more price sensitive, and when not allowed to be given a price concession, they may ask for other concessions. Then we look at the whales. Relationship selling is critical with the whales because they may slip away unnoticed. I've seen more and more of my clients lose major accounts, what they thought was all of a sudden, when in fact their client, had been leaving for some time. They had sent the signals, they just missed them. It's difficult to earn them back. In fact, you're better off trying to find a substitute rather than win back a lost whale. And there is a longer sales cycle with the larger accounts, of course. Let's look at the opportunities that we have in front of us going forward. When we look at the minnows, could we beef up our website with FAQs, calculators, other tools? Is there more that we could do online to help these people buy from us and grow from us? Could we delegate to customer service or our technicians or other people in the organization? What would be in it for them if they were to take on the responsibility of the smaller accounts? And then for the whales, you need your most sophisticated reps addressing the whale accounts. These people may have the most experience, the most knowledge, the most education. They're going to need corporate support. We call this collaborative selling. And what that means is when we're managing a whale account, we call on the talents and abilities of other people in our organization. If I need to do a highly technical, qualified, quantified cost justification for a client, I will talk to someone in accounting because that's not my strong suit. So everyone in the company sells, we need to take advantage of that. And then for our primary clients, CQI, continuous quality improvement. Every sales call is an audition for the next one. We want to continuously improve what we are doing and how we are doing it. Sales development, that is sales training, sales coaching, one-to-ones, role-playing, never ends. We need to continue doing our sales development as long as we are in sales. And then do you need to develop some new tools like ROI calculators or TCOs or cost of waiting calculators? Salespeople deserve the tools. So in summary, have a clearly defined outcome. What do you want to achieve in the time frame we're looking at? If it's a year, if it's a quarter, or if it's a month, have clearly defined outcomes. And then, while you're developing those, incorporate market conditions. That is, the markets that you sell into, what's happening with them, what could be happening with them. Consider the industry trends. If you sell into certain industries and those industries are not doing well, are there other industries you might want to consider? Analyze what your competition's doing. Always stay on top of what the competition is doing. Find out what they're doing. Either do that better or do something different. Either way, you will win. But we don't want to play the same old game over and over again when the competition is moving ahead. Have a plan B. In case everything else fails, have a plan B, but adopt a burn the boats attitude. That is, until it's absolutely essential, we're not going to change to plan B. We don't jump at plan B just because we hit the first obstacle. Account prioritizing is very important. As you learn more about prioritizing accounts, teach others.